Wuthering Waves version 2.3 is almost here, and well, a lot of people weren't very happy with the update. Now, obviously, you've probably seen some of my previous videos covering a lot of the 2.3 update, talking about some of the things that have come to the game, the good parts, the bad parts, and what the overall community reaction has been to this update in general. Now, obviously, yes, for this update, they actually had a live stream like they usually do, pretty much showcasing everything that will be going on in the game. And yeah, overall, the delivery of the event was absolutely amazing, and I really enjoyed it, and I felt like a lot of other people enjoyed it, despite the actual updates that were announced, and despite, you know, everything that they were talking about in the actual live stream. I feel like the presentation and the overall dynamic between a lot of the developers was actually really good, and it felt a little bit more comfortable than previous kind of times, because I think they've just had a little bit more kind of stage time now, and now they can get a little bit more creative with how they present some of their updates. Now, obviously, this also got met with a lot of brigading, and one of the big issues in Wuthering Waves at the moment is the fact that, you know, they are getting brigaded so much, not just on the live stream, but also in other places. But this time in particular, we're going to be talking about the live stream, because obviously I saw this post over on the Gacha Police, pretty much talking about Genshin's true endgame. Now, this was a post on r/Genshin Impact. They say we should mass report Wuthering Waves live stream tomorrow. Tomorrow is their first anniversary livestream, and it's the perfect opportunity to shut them down for once. They believe they're the best, but no, Genshin is the better game, and we shouldn't let them get away with it. So I propose a mass supporting the YouTube and Twitch livestream, so Genshin can be at peace for once, without their toxicity mocking us. Now, obviously, this is kind of crazy. Now, obviously, the way that they actually word it, and obviously the way that they kind of do stuff in the Reddit post itself, makes it seem like maybe this is a little bit of bait, and maybe that, you know, they're just someone trying to rile out the community a little bit. You know, it's a very, very possible factor, but the fact is, this was shared on the Genshin Impact subreddit before the actual live stream came out, and obviously it shows you how kind of annoyed these Genshin Impact fans and these Hoyo fans are at the fact that Wuthering Waves is doing so good at the moment, because despite some of the previous updates we've seen, they are still doing really, really good, and the game is still improving so much. There were so many really good quality of life updates and everything like that that have been also added into the game during that kind of live stream, and obviously, yeah, Hoyo fans can't bear to look at it, because their game barely even offers that. So this was actually removed over on the Reddit, which is really good. And obviously, another good thing is that the Genshin Impact community weren't too receptive to this. They weren't like, oh yeah, hell yeah, let's go report them all. To be fair, a lot of them were being like, don't be toxic, bro. Some of us here enjoy both games, get a job. Bro, is he serious? He even posted this on Facebook. Too late to delete this. They're saying, who are you again, and why should I care? You know, get a real problem. But I feel like some of these are also just Wuthering Waves fans coming over and actually commenting this. But again, this is an actual person that's been commenting this in this community, and obviously there's been a lot of talk in the community about the XXJ, I think that's what, you know, the abbreviation is, community that has been going on over in China as well, which has been purposely sabotaging Wuthering Waves in the background over in the Chinese community, but also in the kind of, you know, wider community as well, reporting stuff, for example, like the age rating whenever Wuthering Waves actually went up to a 16. You know, we do know that they are capable of doing this. Now, obviously, this person over on Reddit isn't really capable of doing this, because again, you need the backing of a lot of people, but there are groups out there like this XXJ group that pretty much go ahead and mass support these games, which is a big problem in the community, and it's something that we're going to see happen quite a lot probably in the future as well, as long as Wuthering Waves is still doing good. Now, the difference between this, as I said, is the fact that this is one person, and this group has over like 30,000 members at this point, which are all active, by the way. None of them are just sat there doing nothing and don't interact. They all kind of get tested based on their activity, and, you know, they obviously get kicked if they aren't active for a long period of time, and they essentially make different groups and stuff to actually downvote videos, which again just sucks, and it's like kind of breeding this new problem of kind of brigading in the community in general. Now, it's not to say that the Wuthering Waves fans are the ones that are actually doing this. It's more of these Hoyoverse fans, and it's more these people that don't like the content creators as well in the space. For example, even Tectone said that he's had evidence of some people actually going ahead making different calls and group chats of them streaming, you know, his video, and then actually downvoting it or disliking it in a big mass kind of group, the same with reports and everything like that, which can get really, really bad. And it seems like this is the only way that these people are actually doing it at the moment. They're not just like writing angry messages or anything like that. The main thing is brigading posts with comments, with reports, with pretty much anything they possibly can do. And obviously we saw this within the live stream chat as well. If you don't know, during the live stream or at the beginning of the live stream, you actually have a chat which you can talk in, and well, they do like to go in there as well and spread a lot of kind of misinformation and a lot of kind of things to rile up the fans as well. Now, obviously this post got really popular over on Twitter. This had 100,000 views, 180,000 views, sorry, and 3.2 thousand likes. That's not very many likes, to be fair. Obviously some people say, hey dude, if you actually saw the comments, you know that everyone actually disagrees with this post, which again is absolutely true. I think maybe the Genshin Impact community are kind of warming up to like kind of actual opinions now, especially with the whole voice actor stuff that's been going on recently. I feel like after that they've actually seen, you know, the truth in just trying to find the truth in a situation, which honestly is really good. But it is good to see that, you know, a lot of these people did not like this post being up in the community, and that the fact that the moderators did remove it. They say, I know a lot of people in the Reddit comments disagree, but that doesn't automatically invalidate the post trying to downplay toxic behavior. It doesn't make it any less toxic, which I do think is true. I think that person was still being very toxic regardless of the comments and regardless of people doing it. I think it's kind of bad to kind of paint it in a light that it's the entire Genshin Impact community, but it is, you know, a small group of them, which again is a big problem. Obviously some people saying, alright, cure bots, let's support Genshin 2, this means war. Let's not do that. Obviously, you know, I think we can be the bigger people here in terms of, you know, we don't have to report another kind of game for this. All we need is just better updates, and that's enough to make them mad, which again, I find kind of funny. You know, we don't need to report them. We don't need to be spamming their comment section. We don't need to be doing anything that they're doing, which can be seen as invasive and often at some point illegal due to the fact of, you know, some of the kind of group over in China doing some even worse stuff to some players. You know, we don't need to be doing any of that. All we need to do is Wuthering Waves need to make even more good updates, and then people just need to be posting about it, being like, hell yeah, I love this update, this looks great, you know, everything like that. And obviously, yeah, recently, you know, updates haven't been as good, but I'm hoping that they can fix that with a lot of the feedback stuff that's going on. I saw a lot of people, I don't know if I'll make a follow-up post on this, but I pretty much saw a lot of people saying that it was over because, you know, they added a feedback channel for the anniversary and what they could change, but then they took it down like a couple of hours later, which I think is fine because I feel like they've gotten a kind of snapshot of a lot of the kind of arguments and stuff that was going on so that they could understand what people were liking about the update. And that was pretty much, you know, they took it and they're like, okay, let's go take this to the drawing board and see what we can do kind of thing, rather than leaving the chat open. That's my opinion. I honestly think that is what is going on with that situation at the moment. So I'm hoping that they do, you know, do some actual kind of things. Now, obviously, yeah, people are saying totally normal fan base, guys, nothing wrong happens here. Wuwa community is a toxic one. They always compare to Genshin, which is true. Obviously, people are constantly saying that as well. They say, what is mass reporting going to do though? They're just going to mass report. It doesn't mean EOS for Wuwa, which is true. It doesn't mean EOS for Wuwa, but you know, as we saw with the entire situation with the cantarella censorship and everything like that, if you do mass report, sometimes, you know, organizations do take action. For example, like the CCP, you know, they took action against the whole cantarella design, against the whole flood design and everything like that. And obviously this was due, or potentially due, to the fact that people mass supported it to this organization. Now, is mass supporting something against YouTube going to do anything that much? No, obviously not. It's really not going to affect it too much. It's going to maybe take down the live stream if there's enough people. But apart from that, it's not going to do anything as bad as reporting it to the literal government, who actually might have a problem with the game and have the power to take it down, or have the power to change the age rating and everything like that, which obviously we've already seen what happens whenever that happens. So again, it can get pretty bad, just kind of mass reporting stuff, and it does depend on the kind of level. I feel like this is kind of entry level stuff, just reporting a live stream or reporting a kind of trailer or whatever. It's like, okay, you know, people are just mad, and the worst thing that could possibly happen is a YouTube video being taken down, which is just like, okay, you know, it's not the end of the world. I honestly don't think it's something that people should get too hung up over, but I also think, you know, it can go to a different extreme level where there's people, you know, I've seen people actually like doxing and stuff in that kind of Chinese group, which has been absolutely crazy, which is, yeah, one of the kind of levels that you can see of how far, you know, they will go for their game. And, you know, this is the entry level kind of stuff, and this is what we get to see, because again, you know, the even worse stuff is kind of hidden away on forums and everything like that, which can get really bad. So again, it is kind of annoying at the fact that, you know, these Genshin Impact fans and Hoyo fans are really angry at this game, because again, it's just like, come on, you know, Kuro Games is making a great gacha game for a lot of us to play. You know, it's not like, you know, Genshin Impact fans can't play this game at all and can't give it a shot. It's just that they don't want to give it a shot. It's because, you know, they think their game is superior, whenever, you know, maybe it's not anymore, and maybe, you know, times are changing a little bit, and Hoyoverse isn't really keeping up anymore, and Wuthering Waves is definitely steaming ahead. And I can totally understand the fact that, you know, their favorite game is slowing down a little bit, and it's not really doing as well as it once was. but that isn't a reason to go and lash out over on Reddit, over on YouTube, over on TikTok, over on Twitter, literally anywhere. You know, it's just, you know, one of the things you have to accept. And obviously, due to the young fan base of Genshin Impact, I'm sure a lot of them aren't very emotionally kind of mature enough to understand the fact that, you know, maybe it is time to move on from Genshin Impact. Maybe it is time to move on and move on to a different one, like Wuthering Waves, which is doing stuff better, which is doing stuff, you know, really, really good. And, you know, honestly, if people actually tried out the game from this community, I'm sure they would love it, because again, there's aspects in there that are very similar to Genshin, but also there's aspects that are very different and kind of make the game feel a little bit more fresh, a little bit more new. But again, it's very interesting to see this post come up, and hopefully we don't see any more of this brigading happening soon. Like, I feel like that's just not going to be the case though. I feel like we're going to see even more happen in the future, especially as more updates do come out. But hey, I'll definitely be covering every single bit that I do find, so that you guys can stay up to date and kind of in the loop of what is going on. So let me know down in the comments what you guys think about this. Do you think that this is going to affect Wuthering Waves in the long term? The fact that people are mass reporting, the fact that people are trying to brigade, you know, all of their posts and everything like that, especially recently? Or do you think it's not really going to have much of an effect at all? I really, really want to know. But yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also good against service, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.